Coming up on today's podcast, everyone, we got a lot of EV talk. We're going to talk a little bit about Lordstown again. We're going to talk about Tesla going fully autonomous and not in a beta mode, maybe, according to Elon. Rivian's going to come out with some price point vehicles starting in 2026, potentially. We'll talk a little bit about that. Something that Keith and I have been saying all along, that EV plugs, charging stations, etc., anything to do with that should be standardized. We're going to get into that. We told you so. Ford, they're cutting some jobs. We'll get into that. And, hey, man, Holly, of all people, are now selling EV conversion kits. And we're going to talk about that and much, much more right after this. Hey, welcome into our podcast. It is the fastest growing podcast on the planet because we're talking about one of the fastest growing segments in the automotive industry. Say hello to my friend Keith, people, my host, double friend, double everything, double mint guy. Keith, hey.
What's up, everybody?
Ooh, that was crazy, man. Now I need some gum. I need some mint.
You never know where I'm going to show up. Sometimes I'm here. Sometimes I'm over here.
Ooh.
Sometimes I'm...
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's trippy, man.
Yeah.
Technology.
Hey, everybody. Wow, it's good to be back, man. Thank you guys.
Do I look tan?
Making us a part of your lives. Yeah.
Thank you.
Jay.
Glad you noticed. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Sure, anytime, man.
Yeah. No, I had a couple of nice weeks off. Not really off, but outside of
off-ish.
Off-ish.
Different.
Yeah, just
different.
Taking care of the fam. Spent the last week with my dad, my stepmother. Hi, Dad. Really enjoyed spending time with those guys. I have to lose a few pounds every time I come back, though, because I eat everything there that I can't get here.
Yeah, it's comfort food, though. It's good to...
Barbecue, fried chicken, sweet iced tea. And when I say sweet iced tea, I'm talking the good stuff, man.
Yep.
You know, you might need to spend a little bud money on your diabetes stuff. Have you seen, you know who Guy Fieri is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Have you seen the T-shirt that's
is he the new Wilford Brimley?
Well, it's Guy Fieri face on a Wilford Brimley body, and the shirt just says "Diabetes." That's a little corny, isn't it? But I'm going to get that shirt.
These mashups. I love mashups, man.
I do too. I'm going to get the shirt, and I'm going to wear it on the podcast one day. So anyway.
There you go.
So how have you been, man? You tell people about you just got, an RV, right?
Yeah, getting ready to take it out. Like, as you're listening to this, I'm probably out in a hidden, undisclosed location. Yeah.
Can I get a little? Can I get some eastbound and down stuff, man? Come on, you got to help me out.
All I got's Bert, and I'm saving him for later.
Okay, all right. Well, you can do some of that dang old man talking about that dang old RV tractor and going around the country, man. I'll tell you what.
We got plenty of I told you so's coming up, everybody. But yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of detail now, and then I'll spray this out over the next couple podcasts. But I ended up with a Newmar. We decided to go with a used one because the industry's not in a good spot right now, and in particular, there's some build quality stuff going on, and it's just all around. Anyway, and interest rates, because I didn't, those things are $500,000. But it's a mid-engine diesel, which is kind of unusual. I can't wait for you to see it, Jay. It rides so good.
I was about to go there with that, is that you cannot match the comfort of something like that, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to get that with a gasser. You know?
Well, and that's so interestingly enough, this thing was built in 2008, and it was really well thought out, and it was clever. But then, you know what happened in 2008? The RV industry tanked, and they didn't sell any, and so they stopped production on it, and they just basically went back to kind of their safe, tried and true ones that they knew, because it was mid-engine. It was something that had not been done before, and
Tell what
anyway.
you got a 5.9 liter Cummins, right?
Yep.
The 24 valve, the ISB.
Yep. It's pre DEF requirement, so there's no diesel exhaust fluid required. It had less than 50,000 miles.
You should get 1 million miles out of it. I mean, typically like the Detroits, like the 60 series Detroits. I mean, those are long haulers, over the road haulers.
If you can find somebody to work on them, and so this is where I'll save this for another podcast or perhaps a series of videos. But I'm learning that, in particular, the RV industry has this: if they're over 10 years, they don't want to touch them thing going on, which is absolutely insane because these things are overbuilt from the engine and the chassis side. And they just have this mindset that, you know, you're going to drop literally the price of a house on one of these things and then throw it away in 10 years, which is not okay.
No. It's basically a Freightliner, isn't it, right? Something like that?
No, Freightliner is the competitor. This one's on a Spartan chassis.
Ah, that's right. That's right.
But
Spartan
either
chassis.
or. Now, Spartan is willing to work on it if there's chassis issues, but they're backed out 2 months.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm glad you got it in, got your servicing done before you hit the highway. I can't wait for the stories.
Man.
I can't wait to see you.
I'll say one other thing. So you remember you and I put solar panels on the roof of my last one. We shot a video on it and we put that out.
Yeah.
And anybody that doesn't,
can I tell them where they can watch it?
Yeah, go for it.
So just go over to youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus and you'll see it there. It was like early on in our podcasting career, wasn't it? So this has to be in 2019.
Correct.
Probably.
I think
Summer
so.
2019, yeah.
And those solar panels are still made, and it's a company called Go Power. They're close to you in Washington State, Jay. And they're really good quality products. So I ended up with the exact same 3 solar panels. They were on this one. They were put on. And this one has, and this is something we'll get into later, as it's EV appropriate. Okay?
Right.
The guy went in and had all the house batteries replaced with Battleborn LifePo batteries.
Wow, that's some dollars.
I've had it sitting in my driveway for a week, running the fridge, running the inverters. I've run vacuum cleaners off of it. Never had to plug it in or run the generator. Just the solar panels top it off during the day. I mean, they're awesome. They are so awesome.
So speaking of the cleaning aspect of it, has been a team effort. Has Sideshot been out giving you a hand with it?
Funny you should ask, because the people that love to sleep, eat, watch the television, use the restroom, use the shower, conveniently have other things to do when it's time to clean.
Of course.
So now I've had some help, but not like not tons of help.
Do you use the spray foam gun on the outside exterior and stuff? Do you do all that? Or you got a brush?
This time I used the brush.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty dirty.
Yeah.
I will get back to that. I'm actually got just a little bit. I got a panel to finish waxing today, and then I'm good to go.
Then you're done. Gotcha. How many slide outs in this thing? 2?
Just one. It's gigantic.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And will it fit in it's pretty sure it'll fit in the same pull?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. Which you're familiar with that place. You've been there before. So I can't wait to see you, man. It's going to be fun. So, all right. Congrats on your new purchase. And I know it was a hectic few weeks trying to get things serviced and get out on the road. I know it too well. I was a lifeline for a couple of those conversations, which is okay. I get it. I would say one of them was talking you off of a ledge. The rest was just basic. What would you do?
You guys that do any sort of drivable RV, I'm just going to tell you right now, we are in a different time. You better allow 2 to 3 months for maintenance if you have work that needs to be done. Gone are the days of like dropping it off and getting it back in a couple days or even a week.
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. COVID changed a lot of things, didn't it?
Yep.
I mean, right to how service centers operate these days. You know,
I mean
it's affected everything.
Yeah.
The whole mentality towards customer service is totally different. It's a lost art, I think. A good service center, a good service writer. It's a lost art.
The element of professionalism has gone from a must-have to a you're lucky if you get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, one thing I want to shout out before we dig deep into our topics today. Many of you know that Keith and I worked with AERA, who is the Engine Rebuilders Association, in which you can join them. Just go to their website. I think it's aera.org. Become a member. It's a great networking experience for you, but they also have a lot of information. But their lead tech guy, Dave Hagan, over there, who I've known for most of my career, has decided to retire. So Dave, in my opinion, was the original, or the OG, as we now say, guru of the automotive industry. I called him so many times to give me a hand on specs and just in general information that might be out there for engine repair for our customers, but also for myself if I'm, reverse engineering product and stuff like that. Anyway, Dave, Keith and I wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. Thank you guys for everything that you've helped us with as well, and congrats on your next phase of your life.
You know what this means, honestly?
What's that?
He's going to be less busy with his work job, which means now I have a more direct support line.
You have a
I don't have to
lifeline.
compete with the other people needing
Right.
Dave's attention.
You know what? We could potentially get him on.
There you
Now
go.
that I'll talk to him, see if he wants to
Never
come on.
busier than after you retire, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Ask my dad that. He still keeps saying, after this job, I'm not doing this anymore, and that was 10 years ago.
Right.
Still doing it all. Anyway, as I said in the intro, Keith, we've got a lot to talk about with the EV sector of the automotive industry. Lordstown.
I hate to say I told you so.
Lordstown.
I hate to say I told you so.
Exactly. Woo. What happened, Keith?
Man, so as if it wasn't weird enough that they filed for bankruptcy, which if you didn't see this coming, you're just so delusional.
I can't imagine that 26 vehicles could put them under like that.
I mean, but then,
You know?
I mean, yeah, but then there's this weird soap opera drama, right? Like,
It's-
okay.
There-
So
let me say this real quick. There's more than soap opera going on here. And just listen to what I'm about to say. Somebody's going to jail here. I don't know who it is, but I'm telling you, somebody's going to jail based on what I am reading into this stuff. So continue, sir.
So, well, let's start there. So, the founder, now, this is not the current chief executive.
No, we're talking
This-
Stephen Burns.
Yep. Which I can't help myself but go to The Simpsons when I hear Steve Burns, right?
Right.
And
That's
I
so
know
funny.
it's not the same Burns, but
No.
But he sold all his stock a couple weeks before this filing.
Right.
Now, that is going to get investigated by the SEC.
It's like, does he know Martha Stewart? Maybe he can get a little.
Right.
I'm just saying.
And so, if you go back, what was it, like a year ago, Jay, maybe a little bit longer, Lordstown announced that they were going to basically rent out part of their space to a major chipset manufacturer called Foxconn,
And
who
you all know
happens
who they are.
Yeah, they used to make a lot of stuff for Apple. They still are very busy in the chip manufacturing sector. And they're starting to get into vehicles. They started that process several years ago. And so whatever happened between those two, it didn't end well, and Foxconn basically backed out of their part of the lease for the building.
Yeah. Yep.
And that further exacerbated problems for Lordstown to the point that they just filed for. Now, bankruptcy does not mean going out of business, although many times it ends up that way.
Right.
It means that they can't pay their bills and they are filing for protection from the court system to keep creditors at bay. But now what's going to also happen is if you can't pay your bills, you're not going to be able to get product.
That's right. That is absolutely correct. And that is the stumbling point for these guys and has been the entire life cycle of these guys. I mean, we've been watching them try to recover, and they just haven't been able to do it. And then they get slapped in the face with the big recall that they had recently, where they actually had to recall, I think it was all of their vehicles. And there wasn't that many. I mean, it was a very limited amount of production vehicles that were out there. But what's really interesting to me is the fact that you've got Foxconn, they're a Chinese company. I personally feel that they got what they needed out of Lordstown, and you're going to see China coming out with some of this. I just think that there's something more to that part of the relationship than we know at this point. I could be wrong. I don't think so, though, because there was another. Wasn't there something else where there was proprietary information that was divulged or given or taken or stolen? Or whatever?
Yeah, so that there was a Fisker, right?
That's right.
Was it?
Yes. Yeah.
And there was a departing of employees, and those employees ended up with another EV manufacturer, and there was a whole bunch of finger pointing. And I'm not sure how that whole thing shook loose. But now, Jay, you started this segment, and you mentioned how many vehicles, just to make sure I heard you right?
I think it was like 26, man.
Okay, so less than 100 easily.
Less than 50.
Okay.
Let's just say less than 50.
And
I'm pretty sure of that.
As we've told you guys before on this podcast, the majority of those vehicles were just used around the facility, around the Lordstown/Foxconn plant, right?
Right.
So, I mean, is this thing ever going to make it into consumers' hands, or what are we,
Well, here's the thing.
Should we even care at this point?
I don't care. I mean, as much as I love Green Day, how many Septembers do I have to wait for, right? So
Jay's referring back to a fanboy that tried to flame us on some YouTube thread.
Yeah,
because
and dude, if you're listening today, I mean, I'm hoping that because we were right on everything that we said before, that you're listening today. I mean, surely you are. If you are, leave a comment.
We called this, 3 years ago?
3 years ago, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they were saying that they were going to be the first of its kind to the finish line, and they were not. Rivian and Ford beat them to it, and very successfully. But the big point I want to make here before we step into the other stuff that we're going to be talking about today is that this is a fine example, guys, of you got to be careful when you're investing into EV startups. I think you need to make sure that you understand everything going behind it, everything, who's backing them, how well funded are they, where is that funding coming from, because these are the situations that you can run into. Now, I am shocked at this point, honestly, that Rivian hasn't stumbled more than they have, but the difference between what Rivian has done versus some of these other companies that have started and fallen and then restarted as another brand or whatever. I think, what is it, Fisker's one of those where they were, what was the Fisker offshoot?
Well, the Karma was their first pass.
The first
and then,
pass,
yeah.
Then Fisker, right. But you have to be careful. But see, Rivian, RJ Scaringe is an intelligent person who is completely in touch with the industry, and he is completely in touch with marketing and his audience, his base. And that is why they have been so successful. And, we'll talk a little bit more about Rivian here in just a moment and the smart things that they're doing, because that's how they're going to survive. Okay, if you can only get 50 vehicles out or less than 50 vehicles out in a 3-year time span, you got some serious issues, man.
So I'll do you one better. I will do you one better. I think part of the reason that Rivian succeeded, and to some extent I think this is true of Tesla also, is you have a lot of these manufacturers like Nikola, like Lordstown, who are it's the Me Too game. Oh, we can make an EV too, everybody. Like that, sure. How hard could it be? But do you have the engineering experience? Do you have the team to pull that off? You have no proven track record, which is huge. You have no experience in manufacturing. So the difference in Rivian, A, they had an engineer at the helm, but B, the quality of product was there. And so you had somebody that refused to sacrifice on quality, and they were able to pull off they had their own set of issues, and they did have some recall type issues. But who on this Lordstown team or on the Fisker team or, on the Nikola team had ever done an EV before or had even any remote experience with bringing something like that to market?
Right. And let's talk about this, too. The design is like the oddest of the bunch. I mean, no wonder it's failed. I mean, it's really just not an interesting design to me. They tried to be too independent of others. And if you'll notice the trend in the EV world, the successful ones, they're borrowing things from each other.
Right. That's been the way it's been in the automotive industry
for collaboration,
ever.
Man. You got to collab, dude. If you don't, you're not going to survive. I mean, ask our friends in the media industry, in what we do. If you don't collab and work with your counterparts, man, you're gonna miss some opportunities. Anyway, there is no luck that could turn this around for these guys, so I'm not going to wish them well at all, because I just don't think it's going to happen. So I'm gonna stick a fork in Lordstown. We'll probably bring you an update on who's going to jail, or how cheap you can buy shares or whatever if they start back up again. We'll probably have a segment on that. But once again, Keith, what did we say?
He's dead, Jim.
Sorry, I know that's not the one you wanted, but
no, but that's perfect, man. Way to slide that one in on me. I love
by the way,
Star Trek. Oh, have you started Strange New Worlds?
Oh,
don't say anything.
Okay.
I've been out of pocket, so I'm back in. So now, is it episode after episode?
No, they're doing the thing where you get it 1 week. That's cool. New episode every week.
That's cool. I mean, I like binging shows, but
you can. You just have to wait a month or two.
You just have to wait, right? Yeah, so we'll probably start this thing after the fourth holiday and stuff like that. So which by the way, this podcast may
there are some. Okay, I'm going to take this opportunity very quickly to say, if you have not checked out our other podcast called the AI Chronicles, go over to our website at partscounterguru.com. It's near the top. It's under our headline banner. It says AI Chronicles podcast. Give that a listen. Completely different platform, different format, all that stuff. Gets kind of sci-fi, really nerdy, very interesting. I've got a movie for you to watch, Jay, and then you've definitely got to get into the Strange New Worlds, and then we'll pick that up on the other podcast. So
I'll definitely.
Yeah.
You're telling me something then.
Yep.
So yeah, I posted that on our Facebook page, guys, and I'll probably put links to that so you guys can just quickly go to if you follow us on Facebook, so just go to facebook.com/PartsCounterGurus. We're also on Instagram, and that is the Parts Counter Gurus is our handle there. We're on TikTok. That's Parts Counter Gurus there. I don't tweet anymore, man. I haven't been doing any of the tweeting. Have you been doing any tweeting?
Less and less, and I've heard a lot of creators kind of in jest refer to our current area as the death of Twitter, which here's the analogy that comes to mind. I loves me a good analogy. I'm a visual guy. It's my thing. I just really dig them. Right.
So what I want you guys to do, Google our dystopian campfire songs. Okay,
Oh.
our dystopian
Okay.
campfire songs. Okay.
Okay.
I posted it. I shared that, and I added a link to our AI Chronicles podcast, the latest episode, which is so ironic. The episode. What's the name of the episode? It's like we're screwed or something. I mean,
It's
Something like
oh man, you would think I would know this, Jay.
hold on,
Just
I got it. It's
that
called,
just-
Extinction.
Extinction. There you
Extinction,
go.
yes,
Yeah.
because that's just go watch
Yeah.
watch it. We get deep into why that you might want to be interested in listening to that podcast. It's pretty good. So you can find it on Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, Google
Yeah.
Podcasts. We're on Amazon.
Or just go to our website and click on the link, and it's got all those platforms.
Yeah, we're on Prime. Yeah, dude, we're on everything, man.
Yeah.
Golly,
So
how great is that?
Twitter has become, it's pretty cool. Twitter has become kind of the Kmart of social media.
You know, I think Elon likes that.
Just circling the drain, man. And it's gotten gross. Like, gross. Like, it's just a bunch of racists and, like, just people that just want to fight.
Well, I'm gonna do this in my best voice from King of the Hill, my favorite guy, Boomhauer. Man, I tell you what, man, I can smell a damn old rabbit down a hole in a heartbeat, man. I tell you what, they can go boom, boom, boom with a gun, kill that boy, kill him, get that rabbit stew. Sorry, man.
Yeah, thank you for that. It was great.
Anyway, man.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I check it occasionally, but less and less interested just because of all the just kind of hate. And who has time for that? I just don't,
No.
I'm not going to fill up my time with stuff that isn't positive.
When we started getting a lot heavier on socials and we started doing the Twitter, I was really interested in it because some of the tweets were quite intelligent, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I got a lot of information from it initially, but then when Elon took it over, you're right, the whole thing just changed, and it got weird to me, and I just didn't see the benefit of us. Let me say this. Okay, in the screen here. Hey, Elon. Dude, we talk cars. We talk Teslas. I mean, we'd love to come back over to Twitter and really do some things. Come on the show and tell us about why we should do that, Elon. We would love to have you on our podcast. And I guarantee you we'll come back over to Twitter if you come on our podcast.
Plus, you're in Washington State, so he could partake on the show with,
He could.
one of his favorite, get some devil's lettuce out and go to town.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Speaking of devil's lettuce, man, when I was back east, I got my favorite beer, which was called Wicked Weed.
Oh, yeah.
Pernicus IPA.
I can get that here at the grocery store.
So good, man. My favorite beer.
It just reminded me that I have
east of the Mississippi.
no beer in the RV fridge.
Well, when you're westbound and down, think about your old pal here.
Yeah, right.
Because I can't get that stuff out here.
So, I don't think I've ever done this on this podcast.
Okay.
And Jay and I, we have some really interesting things coming up. Both on the podcasting side, but also on the video side over on YouTube. Mm-hmm. A lot of relationships, a lot of partnerships, a lot of things happening in the background. It's been happening for 6 months now. It's just fun. It's just getting funner and funner. Okay. But we were talking to some guys today, and we're trying to work out some collaboration. And they're in the EV space, and it's gotten to the point where we try to stay agnostic, and that's what we were telling the guys, in the EV space. Hey, Jay said, like, we're kind of just, if it's interesting, and if it has wheels, if it's automotive based, if it's
what we do.
Got 2 wheels, whatever. If it's
Doesn't
got
matter.
1 wheel, we'll talk about it. Yeah. We just try to we're curious by nature, all that. And I really try to live there and practice what I preach. But I gotta say, man, I'm just done with Elon Musk. Like, I'm just done. He's just a
goofball,
circus, man.
Yeah, he's a goofball. I think he partakes in the wacky tobacco.
I don't trust that what he says is going to actually come true. And look, for all you guys that are I got a million reasons starting with where's my damn Cybertruck, right?
Right. But there's been some, I think he's close to making some happy Tesla Cybertruck owners happy. I was just saying, there's rumor of that. We shall see. But he, again, what have I always said? You've always said it too. He's a marketing genius. He's an absolute marketing genius.
I mean, yeah.
And so anybody, if he can work himself out of this predicament between Twitter and the Cybertruck, hands down, he wins the match, man.
Okay, so recently, and I think this happened on Twitter, did it not? He started talking about full self-driving, which has is cycled through the news so many times, but this time around, he means it.
Yeah. That's what he says.
Go ahead, Jay.
I was just going to say it's full autonomous driving is what he's speaking of. And they have been rolling this stuff out in beta form to select individuals, if I remember that correctly, select Tesla owners. And they've equipped each Tesla with this software. But I think that the latest version is 11.4. But there is hints that 12. He said it should really be 12 based on what he's telling everyone. He says in this new version of this beta software, Tesla cars can navigate city streets and highways very well, but continues to claim that a car outfitted with this version is not yet autonomous. In other words, the driver must continue to supervise the vehicle. So I'm not real sure how fully autonomous it will be.
Well,
I'm unclear on that.
They can't, because the National Transportation the NHTS. Let's just go acronyms, okay? The NHTSA.
NHTSA.
Yeah. All right.
National Highway Safety Transportation.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That one.
Right.
They're not going to approve it. Not now. No. I mean, I'm not saying they're never going to approve it. I'm saying today. It's not there yet. Mm-hmm. And so there has to be way more milestones, thresholds, tests, all that. So you can keep incrementally updating your versions, your software, whatever, but at this point, it's just more sales pitch to try to get people to spend that, what is it, like $15,000?
$15,000, man. Yep.
And it's great that it can do it, but the fact is you're not technically allowed to do it. It's not legal.
Right. We do not have the standards in place to even allow that to begin to happen at this point. I mean, look at all of the vehicles in San Francisco. What's the autonomous taxis or whatever?
Yeah, there's several of them, right? But there's
Yeah, Domino's is using it.
But that's a confined space. They're only allowed to do it on certain streets during certain times of the day. You can't leave that zone. Right. They have all these contingencies in place with local law enforcement and traffic enforcement. If there's an issue, they have a hotline. So again, there are guardrails in place. To your point, Jay, that you said earlier, you got to have those guardrails. On a national level, we don't have them. So when Elon goes on Twitter and says version 12 won't be beta, okay, but it still won't be legal.
Right.
Right? It's great it's not beta anymore, so what, right?
And he says that
wow, I'm making friends on this one.
Version 12 it's reserved for when fully self-driving is fully AI from video into control out. And see, that's the thing, is that if you go back and look several months ago at the other story that broke, where, I mean, he basically just overruled his engineers and got into a big tiff about it. I just don't think that, again, like I said, marketing genius he is, and he's just stirring up interest in Tesla again, just as he does. And what a better platform for him to do that, his own Twitter, right? Getting it out there. And don't believe everything you hear, guys, because just as Keith was just saying, there's a lot of hoops to go jump through before you can be fully autonomous, and we are absolutely 100% nowhere near that at this point, man. I mean, it's just like 100% electric out there, EVs. We are nowhere near being 100% EVs. So this whole 2035 deadline that California gave to no longer produce gasoline engines, that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So don't believe everything you read and hear. Just understand that technology has not really gotten to where it needs to be for any of those things, but we are making progress, solid progress.
Yeah.
And I believe what's funny to me is that I do believe that the ChatGPT, all of that stuff, OpenAI, will obviously play a big role in this at some point. And I think down the road you will have a fully autonomous vehicle. It'll be scary to me, but I think it has to be confined, like you said, with guardrails.
Here's a statement from Musk on Twitter. There was a whole Mars catalog tweeted about version 11.4, and Elon jumped on that and replied about the architectural improvements. But then the question was asked to him, will version 12 be out maybe later this year? Oops, I just clicked off of it and onto Twitter. And he said version 12 won't be beta. Did not confirm when it would be.
Nope.
And then Whole Mars Catalog followed up and said, do you think it will launch this year or in 2024? And I mean, no response from Elon on that. There's no way. It can't. Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. We've got a long way to go before that. So nice try, Elon.
I mean, look, guys, our track record is near perfect. Just look at the previous segment on Lordstown and some of the stuff we've called out. I'm saying I'll go on record and say they will not have full autonomous driving, full self-driving approved to be used on long drive durations before 2025 is the earliest I can see that happening.
Yeah, I could be a grandfather by then.
Yeah.
I could be a grandfather by the time. No, I might be a great grandfather by the time Lordstown gets their act together.
Jeez.
Just saying. I don't. I mean, I don't have anything against those guys, but I just salt in the wound. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, there you go, Elon. Good luck with that. I'm not buying it yet. Key's not buying it. We shall see. And you can refer back to this podcast at any time you wish. And we will gladly say to you, if we mash the button over there, Keith, which is...
Oh, sorry. I was sleeping.
Dude.
I hate to say I told you so.
Well, I was working on the next story.
I know, man. I know. No. We'll get there. And the next story is, sir, Rivian.
I hate to say I told you
Now,
so.
that was comedic timing. All right.
I love it.
On to Rivian.
Yes.
So... This is kind of the same thing that happened to Tesla, right?
Yeah, we have two Rivian stories, so let's couple these together.
All right.
And then we'll segue into the latter half of that.
So,
does that work?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you say, man.
For those of you listening out there, you should watch us because it's quite comedic to see us
and we've gotten to the point where we produce most of this in real time with just the two of us.
With just the two of us.
Two, not
who
four.
Wrote that?
Two.
Who wrote that song? Just the two of us. You should know that. I mean, you're a musician.
I should.
Music major.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, whatever.
So Tesla did something similar. This is going to be a trend. Mm-hmm. We've seen Ford do it. Mm-hmm. You produce an EV, you get your first one or two out there, and then you try to, and this to some extent is to keep shareholders happy. Right. You have to grow your market share. You have to sell more of them. Well, how do you sell more of them? Well, you sell a lesser expensive version. We don't say cheaper in the sales industry.
Right.
You sell a lesser expensive version.
Has negative connotations when you say cheaper.
You build it for less. It has less features, maybe less luxury. And so it looks like Rivian is headed in that direction. Mm-hmm. Very early news here.
Smart move.
Yeah. What do you think, Jay? Go ahead.
I think it's fantastic. You know how I feel about RJ. I mean, I love how he has handled his business. I mean, the guy is on top of recalls. He's honest. He's upfront. if he gets backlash, he does the right thing, and he has in the past, and you know that, Keith. RJ is all about his vision and his customer service. He wants his customers to be happy with his product, and they are. I've met several R1T owners over the course of the last year, and I will say this. They're amazing. They're amazing vehicles. They've got some problems. I think all EVs do, and they will continue to have until we get past a few certain things that we need to upgrade from a technological standpoint. But at the end of the day, RJ's got his finger on the pulse. Now, to offer a vehicle that has a starting price at around, say, $39,000 to $45,000, that is more appealing. You can convince someone that that's the direction they want to go when you make it more affordable. Most of the comments that Keith and I have seen while podcasting over the last, we've been doing this now 5 years, and the biggest complaint has been about range, overall, quality of the vehicle,
charging
Just things-
speed,
charging
issues.
Yeah, that's been the biggest thing. And number one is price. I ain't buying no $100,000 electric
Yeah,
car.
sure.
Right? Vroom,
Which is
vroom.
where the Tesla Model S.
Exactly.
Well, you could get it up there. It didn't start at
People-
100K, but yeah.
Did they or did they not freak out whenever the Hummer EV price tag came
Oh, yeah.
out?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
people freaked
Which
on
is
that, man.
it's a lot of money. I
But
mean,
it's
I
a
get
mon-
it, right?
It is, but it's a monster vehicle, too.
Right.
We covered that at SEMA 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and they
Yeah,
still
we
haven't
had-
gotten that one.
Go
out
over
for-
to
yeah.
youtube.com /Parts Counter Guru. You can check that out. Just there's a SEMA tab. Isn't there? Don't we have a SEMA
Yeah, we have a playlist. Yeah,
playlist? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think so. Anyway, we covered that, which is really cool. So really in depth. Keith did a fantastic job of walking us around that vehicle and telling us all about the features on it. So please
it's
do.
fun, man. I like It's just like, what would I want to see? Well,
Man,
yeah.
you're telling them, yeah, exactly. And from your vantage point, that's actually one of my favorite walk-around videos you've done. Very well done. But, yeah, people freaked out over it. But when I saw the thing in person, I'm like, golly, man, this is bang for buck here. I mean, this is for
Right.
lack of better terms, badass. And I think that it really startled some people in the EV industry, and they're like scrambling, going, well, we got our work cut out for us here.
So,
But go ahead.
no, you go.
I was just going to say, but on that point, GM has also done the same thing that Rivian has done here, which is they're working on that entry-level price point
Right.
for an affordable electric vehicle. They know they have to do it to keep people interested, but they also have to do it in order to have a larger market share, period. That's what it's all about.
So I have some notes for RJ.
Ooh. Can we get him on?
Well,
that be
sure, RJ. If you want to come on the program, reach out to us. Go over to our website. It's partscounterguru.com or partscountergurus.com.
Right.
And they'll take you to the same place. And there's a Ask Us a Question tab near the top. Just click on that. Leave
think
us
they
a
were-
message.
I think they were at the recent Electrify Expo, by the way, too.
Oh, well, then yeah. But
We'll be in
probably wasn't, yeah.
Seattle covering that show, guys. ElectrifyExpo.com. Go check them out.
So
we're going to cover that one.
I think there are some things that Rivian must do to get this compact SUV right.
Okay,
That-
let's hear it.
to go well.
All right.
So number one is they have to stay true to their design.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So many of these SUVs that we're seeing hit the marketplace today, like the Mach-E
Mm-hmm.
and others. GM's got a couple now. They're in the Blazer family, whatever.
Right.
They're not really SUVs because they're not built on a truck platform. And
No.
if
They're
you beg to
unibodies.
differ with me, go to Wikipedia and look it up. The dictionary definition of an SUV says it has to be built on a truck platform.
Right.
But Rivian has that kind of boxy look, right? Like this is what we were talking about in one of the first segments of today's show. You can't, you do borrow from existing elements. And so I think they would be very foolish, I hope you're listening, RJ, and Rivian team, to deviate too far from that styling that Rivian has. No, I don't think it should be completely radical. That's just my opinion.
And
okay?
I'm with you on that. I think you are correct. You know, like say for example, if you like the Toyota Tundra,
Yep.
go take a look at the new Toyota Tacoma. I mean,
Yep.
they're staying within that realm of what they're known for. They're not getting that far away from each
Right.
other. One's a larger vehicle than the other. So there you go. Man.
Yep.
That's
And
right.
and number 2, and there are only 3, just in case you're wondering how long this is going to take. Number 2 is they have to keep their modular focus, meaning, you know, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with these Rivians. Rivian has partnered with companies like Yakima for tents. They did the camp kitchen thing in the R1T. But there's a lot of modular capability, roof racks, stuff that you can add to them. You've got to keep that as an option in the smaller compact SUV. Make it customizable. I think so Rivian has always focused on the outdoorsy crowd, right? The overland crowd.
That's right.
I think you have to stay true to that, and the way you stay true to that and you continue to get those people as your customers is to keep offering them ways to customize with tents, fridges, bike racks, whatever, right?
Yep. You know, the interesting thing here to me, as we're talking about this and what you just said, it's so funny to watch the competitors out there, the big 3 OEMs, you know, kind of follow some of the trends that Rivian's doing. So if I'm RJ, I'm like, that's my idea, man. You know, I mean, it's a no-brainer for him to do what he's doing, and I do agree with you. I think on those three very points, that if he does that, and I'm sure that he's listening to us and he's listening to everybody else saying the same thing. And he'll put out a really nice, very well-pointed, affordable electric vehicle with a cool list of accessories that you can have for it.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it'll happen. But
Number 3?
most importantly, go ahead, 3.
You got to keep the front light design, meaning you have the bar that goes all the way across. Mm-hmm. That's so iconic. When one comes up behind you at night, you know it's a Rivian. And then ideally you
Martian.
also keep the 2 oval headlamp spaces.
Yeah, it's the Martian.
You know, I know you can't have them all look the same, but I do think that's kind of their brand. It's almost a logo of theirs on the front of the vehicle.
I'm with you on that. I think you have to. It's like what sets a Pontiac apart from a Buick or a Chevrolet. It was always the taillights or the head.
Well, and
be that, you know.
To this day, like now, this maybe wasn't the case in the beginning, but now people buy a Rivian because it's a Rivian, because they want their friends to know they've got a Rivian. So if you're going to appeal to the lower income, lower cost crowd with a compact SUV, it's kind of like the BMW model with their like 1 Series, which we all referred to as the, for a long time, the poor man's BMW. But it's true. You're getting a BMW for less money. There is a certain logic in doing that, right? Let people know visually that it's a Rivian, and the way you do that is with that front end, the lights.
Right. That's right. Customization, guys, like you said. I mean, if there's any one thing that the OEMs have figured out, it's like that presence in the accessory side, where the aftermarket has just thrived for years, and the OEMs are recognizing that, to where they're either putting it on the vehicle as you buy it, it's already there, or it's ready for you to buy it from them and put on. And I don't know if you have a choice between an aftermarket add-on or an OEM add-on, which path would you go? And I think that really depends. I mean, look at what Toyota did with their TRD packages. It's just the stuff that you can get for their off-road packages,
Right.
But that's been the case all the time. But see, those guys they're partnering up with who is the I think
ARB. You're talking
ARB,
Toyota.
sorry. Yeah,
Toyota,
Toyota,
ARB. Yeah.
The Australian company.
Yeah.
So these are the things to look for, and I would not be surprised to see I mean, Rivian's already doing it in some respect with, like you said, with the Yakima tents and stuff like that. But there'll be more come down the pike. And there's just, it's like, you want to keep the well full, and that's how you get these customers coming back, is by offering, people just like to customize their stuff. I mean, that's just the way it is. So just because it's an EV doesn't mean that you can't customize it. And we've had that.
And we've got way more to say on that, everybody.
We do.
Stay tuned.
Just stay tuned. But, but anyway, so good for RJ on that front. I'm also very pleased to announce that you Rivian owners will be...
Wait, we have some news?
We do. Live from the news desk.
All right, go.
Okay. So Rivian is going to implement Tesla charging ports on the R1S and R1T. The deal will give Rivian owners access to Tesla's 12,000 plus superchargers from 2024. Okay, here's what they say. Rivian R1T and R1S owners will have access to Tesla's supercharger network of DC fast chargers in the United States and Canada from 2024. We'll, with the help of an adapter. And furthermore, both the R1T all-electric pickup and R1S SUV will be fitted with the North American Charging Standard, the NACS. Keith, did we not mention that we needed to have standardization?
I hate to say I told you so.
It's coming, everybody. It's coming. It's just like everything else. First generation, it takes time to refine. So first of all, and let's go ahead and cover that as well. But I think, any of these automotive manufacturers initially are hesitant to implement compatibility with a competitor, right? Like, that's not just in the automotive industry. I mean, Apple does that. Google does that. Like, Apple was very resistant to USB-C charging because they had their own proprietary lightning cables, which you had to buy from them, or the manufacturers had to pay Apple for the license to make those charging cables, which essentially means Apple was getting paid one way or the other, right?
That's right.
And so Tesla having their own proprietary charging connectors, but not only that, remember, Tesla's got there first in terms of the charging speed. Their superchargers could deliver more charge faster before anyone else. So, and honestly, they've just got the largest network. Like, they got coverage before everybody else got coverage. So I think in the short term, it makes sense because you're eliminating one of the objections that people have to not buying one, which is, I don't have as many places to charge. Man, I've seen Tesla superchargers in the middle of nowhere. And so I think, you're kind of making a deal with the devil, so to speak, but it could be a short-term deal. Who knows? And, you're leaving money on the table, I guess, if you want to launch your own charging network, but Rivian doesn't really have the resources to do that right now. No. So why not go ahead and
partner up?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you have to lose? Nothing. You have everything to gain because that's what you want is for your owners, your customers to have easy access to charge points. And speaking of that, I was having a conversation with my son about this, and he's an EV owner. He has a Chevy Volt. He has, and he's got it on order right now, an F-150 Lightning. He hasn't gotten it yet. In fact, he might cancel it. I'm trying to talk him into getting a Rivian, but we shall see about that. But he says, because we were talking, I said, it's about to get standardized. And he goes, really? I thought that was already happening, and not really, it wasn't. It's more than just the standardization. It's having the access to these charge points from Tesla, these superchargers. And it only makes sense even for Tesla to do this. Now, he mentioned to me, he goes, well, I only wish that they would take cards, because right now, a charge point, you have to use an app. But I said to him, and this is a prediction, and you can write this down, and you can say, hey, I listened to this podcast in 2023, and Keith and Jay said over there on Parks County Gurus that this was going to happen, and it will, because we kind of know these things. In order to compete in the industry with charge points, charging stations, this particular company is going to have to allow the usage of cards, like tap, like you do. They're going to have to do that because not everybody is going to want to use an app on a phone.
Sure.
And what happens when that happens? They go elsewhere. So if ChargePoint wants to reap the benefits of this new gain notoriety that they have because they're going to be working with all these people now, that's what they're going to have to do. So mark my words. I'm telling you, you're going to come back and listen to this podcast. You're going to say, man, Keith and Jay were right. Credit cards, guys. Tap. Boom. You're done. And apps. They'll cover it. It'll be fine. But who knows? In a couple of years, man, we might have a watch with a chip on it. Oh, wait a minute. We already have that, right?
Oh, yeah. We already have that. Yeah. So, so so to kind of mash these together, in 2024, Rivian's R1T and R1S will be able to access Tesla's charging stations.
Correct.
But then, as Jay was just mentioning, ChargePoint's going to do the NACS standard.
Right.
And they're going to be the first large-scale charging company, I think, to adopt that standard, which is great, right?
Yep. And it's going to happen across the board. I guarantee you that more and more are going to jump on it because if not, they're going to lose business.
Yep.
And they're all in it to make a little money.
The industry is full of peer pressure, decisions being led by peer pressure, right?
That's right. Who else did Tesla work deals with just recently? If you don't think this is serious.
Oh,
guys.
they're all
GM, then
right.
GM and Ford both
right.
Brokered deals with them to use those.
And Ford and GM are also adopting the NACS charge standard going forward on all the vehicles they produce. So
golly, didn't we say this like? How long ago was it we talked about this? This was a podcast maybe 6 or 8 months ago. I think we talked about
long enough that,
I hate to say I told you so.
Like, it was not yesterday. It was a long while ago, and it was predictive.
It was. And we just kind of felt that's the only way they can continue to move the pieces is to do that. I mean, don't focus on that aspect of it, keeping that proprietary, because that's just it's a no-brainer to make it standardized.
Right.
Because you serve more and more progress can be made. So this is a very point that I kind of wanted to drive home with all you naysayers out there about having this. I'll never be able to drive across the country because there's not enough charging stations. That's just not true. They're there. It's just that not everybody is in cahoots with each other, and that's why you have some of the difficulty trying to find a specific charging point, type, whatever. That's going to change. So your range anxiety that you may now have, it's going to go away. You're not going to worry. And then when the solid state batteries are out, that technology, when it finally catches up, that's even another one. So now that's that. And I want to move on to something else here real quick. And it's the only portion of the show that we're not specifically talking about an electric vehicle. But Ford is just, they're going to be laying people off.
Oh, but I can make it relevant to the EV. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, my point is that remember when everybody was saying they're killing the gas engine? I don't think that'll ever happen, guys. I just don't see that happening. I do see electric vehicles becoming a little bit more prominent than they are now at a faster pace towards the end of this decade.
Let me and I know you're trying to get to a point here.
Yeah, go ahead. I got you.
I'm going to ask you this because I saw a comment on one of our YouTube videos recently.
Oh God, I know which one it is. I know exactly which one it is.
It said, by the way, guys, we welcome your comments. Make sure you visit us and subscribe over on youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. And I'm not going to get this 100% right, but you're going to get the context. The guy said, well, as long as it's not an EV, if it's an EV, I refuse to buy it, watch it,
movie.
Watch a movie, whatever, right?
Yeah. Speaking of, who are we talking about? Kit.
That was Knight Rider, yeah.
Yeah, Knight Rider.
And I'm like, wow, really, dude? Like, you just wouldn't even give it a chance if it were an electric vehicle.
It's an artificial intelligence equipped vehicle
already.
You're
so close to change that
right.
in something that's strictly for entertainment, a movie,
How's
you
that
won't
flip
even.
phone? How's that flip phone working for you, pal?
I almost typed a reply that said I'm not very computer literate, and there would have been one person in the world besides me that would have got that joke, and that would be you.
Yeah.
But that is the comment. I'm not very computer literate. You might as well have just said that. That's what I heard when you said if it's got an EV in the movie, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, it's just crazy, dude.
I don't
don't
drive an EV.
understand.
Okay, so all right. Let me bring this home. Let me land the plane here. Okay,
land it.
So there is an element, I think, of fear. I think people are scared. I think change is scary. I know that's true. Change is scary for all of us, and I think some of what was behind that comment was a little bit of fear and anxiety. So, do you, Jay? Now, knowing that you are somewhat Nostradamus in your ability to predict, but yet human, okay?
True.
Will there come a day when a federal agency will say, much like they did with our analog TV signal 15 years ago, hey, on this date, no more analog signal is allowed. So on this date, no more gasoline engines are allowed to be sold. Do you think that day will come?
No.
Okay. Why?
I don't. Because I think there's way too many usages for a gasoline engine outside of the automotive sector. I mean, people forget they're in everything. I mean, so you can't. I mean, will we see a ban of or the no sale of a gasoline engine, say, in huge metropolitan areas where the traffic is so bad that it might be incentivized for you to have an EV, or they just won't allow you to have an EV in the city? That's what I said. I've said this over and over again. Put this in perspective. When you're in large metropolitans like that, there's huge amounts of emissions from gasoline vehicles. We get that, but that is compiled with you're talking diesel, gas. I mean, you've got agriculture even within a city. There's stuff going on. You've got public transportation. There's so much going on.
Sure.
Now, we're seeing the move of public transportation to all electric. It's been happening for a long time. Nobody seems to complain about that, but don't touch my gum old pickup truck, man. That fall box Chevrolet gonna walk all over you, man, tell you what. Anyway, it bugs me, man. It's the close-mindedness to this is bizarre. But okay, here's where it won't affect someone. If I'm in the middle of Podunk, Oklahoma, man, do you think that my lone vehicle for 6 miles, the nearest person to me is 6 miles, my lone gasoline engine is going to cause irreversible harm to the planet? No. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so. The regulation might get tighter and tighter, but I don't think there's ever going to come a day when, in our lifetimes, to your point, somebody's going to regulate and say you can't sell. Now they may cost more. They may start driving the price of those vehicles up as GM makes them.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
look, their goal is to sell you a product. Mm-hmm. An automobile in most cases.
Absolutely.
They know there's a segment of people that still want or need internal combustion engines. They're not just going to stop. That's a huge market share to them.
It is.
So I don't see it as a threat either.
Yeah. And this is the point that I want to make about Ford laying off these jobs, laying off people,
Okay.
And
so
getting rid.
So we got Ford
trimming the fat,
so
right?
Ford announced. So let's set this up. So Ford announced, and really not the first time, but more recently, that they're going to cut jobs in the United States and Canada. Okay.
And this is based on a plan that they rolled out in 2021. So we all knew it was coming, and now they're beginning to implement some of these things. And at the end of the day, guys, while you see a number of jobs being lost, look at what it's affecting. It's not necessarily affecting the factory worker per se. Artificial intelligence within our society now is really the culprit for loss of jobs at a manufacturing level. I mean, it's a no-brainer. AI, robotics, they don't get sick. They don't call in. They're always working. And so they see a more efficient production environment. And the bottom line for any of these guys is production.
Yep.
Production.
So they're
That's
going
how they
after
make money.
they're going after administration level jobs.
Pretty much. European sectors as well. I think that there has become so many more active players in the EV market that Ford is seeing that their bigger role over in some of these, Australia is huge Ford. They're right. And so is Europe, but there's a bunch of other players too. So I'm just saying that I want people to be open-minded and do not blame EVs for these layoffs, because that is not the root cause of this.
And don't forget they're building that major
right
EV facility in like the Memphis area.
Yeah. Dude,
where,
you should see the size of the Hyundai facility being built south of Atlanta.
So those are all manufacturing jobs for people. But also, this isn't anything new. For those of you that are pointing to this and saying this is because of EVs or this is a new thing. No. GM did this like a year. This happens every couple of years with one company or another in the automotive industry. And Toyota does it from time to time, and they don't even just tell. I mean, it just doesn't even make headlines. And so Ford is basically being open with their shareholders and disclosing a plan so that people don't go, well, this is bad, you weren't planning it. It's exactly the opposite. They have a vision, and they're just moving the pieces to try to get to that destination. Now, the question is, because of the timing of this, is it related to the economy? That's kind of the thing that would concern me more than anything else.
Right. It's like, the inflation rate has obviously been very difficult to swallow, and
it's,
economy the relationship to the automotive industry, the housing industry, and the economy, period, is all, it's what, when one goes south, the other goes south. And that's just kind of how it works, guys. And yes, I do believe that this is riding on the coattails of a lot of economic issues that we're having. But not only that, though, Keith, I think that some goals may have not been met just due to the supply chain issues that we've been having due to COVID and other things. And we don't quite have some of these plants online yet that are supposedly targeting those areas of where we were lacking to be able to complete builds. So we'll see. We'll keep you updated on that, guys. But Ford's not the only one. I'm going to guarantee you that you'll hear more and more of these automakers sizing things down. And that's going to tie hand in hand with another prediction that we made about what will our dealerships look like in 10 years. Ford's already come out and said that their model is going to be a lot different than what you see now because of the price gouging that was going on during COVID, during the shortages. So that changed things. I think that they've had to go back and take a look at those things and realize that we need to do things differently. And they will, and because they got to survive. No doubt about it, right?
Right. That's right.
So,
I've got a prediction here.
okay.
I know we're getting probably
It's okay.
towards the end of our
Yeah.
program,
We
but
are.
I'm tempted to lay out a little theory, and
Okay.
it's just a theory at this point. But I kind of wonder, economy based, if we'll ever see another major recession. So, what typically happens, and this happened in 2008, and it's happened every time I think we've had a crash, is news hits the wire that bad times are coming. You better shore up, you better buckle up, you better hunker down, batten down the hatches, times are going to get rough. And people stop spending. And so this is an interesting difference this time around. The Federal Reserve in the United States has raised interest rates. It's gotten bad. They keep raising rates. They're more and more. Some of these car loans now getting pretty high interest rates. The toy market, ATVs, SUVs, RVs, all that. Interest on those is really high. And people are like, yeah, I don't care. I'm buying one anyway. And so I think the general public's refusal to stop spending has basically negated any risk of recession. And so I do wonder if people just don't care, if they're not gonna listen, if somebody goes on and says, hey man, Amazon's cutting jobs, you better shore up, you better get ready, and people are like, I don't care, I'm buying stuff anyway. Well, then there's not going to be a recession, because recessions are triggered by people stopping their spending, cutting back.
I think. Well, like I said, COVID caused so many different things to happen, and I think that as from a coping standpoint, I think everybody's like, man, if I can get through COVID, I can get through anything. And I think you're right. I think people are not really that afraid. I think we came through a lot. I think people as a whole, humanity, survived this. We made it, and I think the attitude or the feeling of confidence is much greater than before. They're not buying into the crap that's coming to you through news outlets and stuff like that. Your favorite news channel or whatever, because. Trust me, there's a lot of sensationalism that goes on with that, and that's, you got to understand, news programs are doing it for the ratings, just like we are over here on Parts County Gurus. We're looking for ratings, higher ratings. But we can understand our ratings going up because we're the gurus, right? You get facts.
Absolutely.
Facts, man, facts. All right, real quick before we shut this thing out, I talked to you earlier about this, and again, innovate or go home, right? We're very familiar with who Holley is, right? Holley carburetors, fuel injection systems, all this stuff, right? We know who they are, right?
Wait a minute. Holley, like the stuff that I would put on my 1968 Camaro.
Yeah.
That Holley?
Yeah, the Holley Babe poster.
That Holley is getting into
bolt-on
current technology?
Yeah. They are now selling.
No way.
A bolt-on kit to Tesla swap vintage Chevy C10 pickups. Do you believe that? Now, why would they be doing that? Why would they be doing that?
Because they want to have a company left in 15 years?
Exactly. For the same reason that
Just
Shell...
a guess.
Same reason that Shell, the fossil fuel company, is doing the same thing. They're, converting gas stations into charging stations. So, anyway, hats off to Holley for getting into that. Go check them out. The company that is behind it, I think it is AEM EV, so you can go to aemev.com. They're also a sponsor for the Electrify Expo, by the way. They're one of their brand partners for those shows that are occurring this year. Make sure you go to electrifyexpo.com, and make sure you also click on the show off side of that show, which is where all of their custom EVs will be. A lot of fun. We're going to be covering it in Seattle. There were hints dropped today that we may have to either be in Austin or Miami this year as well, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, my friend, that's really kind of all I have to go on today. I'm just going to say it now because I know you're going to take us out of here, but thank you, everybody, for listening. Appreciate you, my friend. Always good to see you.
Yeah, likewise, man. It's good to be back. It's good to be back with you.
Enjoy your vacay.
Guys, thank you for making us a regular part of your lives. We've missed you. Hopefully you've missed us. We've got some very interesting things coming up the remainder of this year. I mean, it's never been better than what we've got on the horizon, and we're both really excited about that.
For sure.
Please make sure you support the show, and there's a couple ways you can do that. Go over to our website, partscounterguru.com, click on the Amazon banner, shop to your heart's content on Amazon. It does give us a little bit of a referral credit. It doesn't cost you any more. Tell a friend, subscribe to the podcast on the same website, leave a review on the podcast. All those things help. And we'll see you on the next one. I've got just kind of fell into my lap, Jay.
I want to hear it. I can't wait.
In the words of H.G. Wells, H.G. Wells.
I know who
right?
you're talking about.
Time
yes,
Machine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
In the words of H.G. Wells, adapt or perish. For my pal Jay over there, I'm Keith. Thank you guys. We will see you on the next one.